Sir Gwyn, hero of Ashvale, versus Jhoira, Weatherlight captain. Yeah, we've got a pretty slow one there. Let's keep it. It's going to be slow compared to this Jhoira deck anyway. Cheerios, I dare say. Let's see how many turn 1 mana rocks they get into. They get into none, surprisingly. So let's get in our Talisman of Conviction. And then they go for, what is that, Riddlesmith. Whenever you cast an artifact, you can draw a card and discard. We get some white mana from the Arid Mesa. So let's go for the Kinsbale Cavalier. That will give our knights double strike. Then an Honor-worn Shaku. That can tap an untapped legendary to untap the Honor-worn Shaku, and it taps down for a colourless mana. Denitha, I think, so that we can get Swiftfoot Boots into play, because we might be able to play our commander next turn. She will make equipment spells cost 1 less, so Swiftfoot Boots will come out for 1 and equip for 1. Now both of our knights have double strike. We'll swing in with both of them. And our opponent just deciding to take the hit for 8. Then out comes Jhoira, followed by a bunch of mana rocks, I imagine. There's an expedition map. Riddlesmith will get to loot. Now, in my experience with Jhoira, you really want to keep her out of play. Of course, they've got a Soul Ring. Jhoira always has Soul Rings and Vaults and Mana Crypts and everything. They never struggle on getting into the fast mana somehow. Obviously, when they've drawn into a million cards, they're going to have the mana rocks, but always within the first turn or two, they've got rocks in hand. A Welding Jar. Yeah, just playing that as a Cheerio card that can regenerate an artifact. If we could get into a land and play out our Vona with haste, that would be really useful to get rid of Jhoira. And we do, so we'll shock that down. Throw the Swiftfoot Boots over there. And now let's swing in at our opponent before we deal with that Jhoira. This definitely has Vigilance, doesn't it? Yes, Vigilance. The Riddlesmith deciding to block there. They don't want us gaining too much life. And then we will kill off Jhoira just to slow her down a little bit. And now we're forcing our opponent to recast Jhoira, which is... yeah, they've got plenty of mana to do it. It'll be 6 mana, so 3, 4, 5 and 6. Then this will untap with Jhoira, so they'll still have, they'll still have plenty of mana to do stuff with. That's the thing about a Cheerios deck, you don't need all that much mana. What they do need is to keep their commander in play, though. Oh, and they've got a Mishra's Workshop as well. Going for a Basalt Monolith, maybe setting up an infinite combo there. Or it might just be another mana rock for them. Okay, going for the paradoxical outcome, so they were just floating a bunch of mana. Good job we got rid of their commander. Playing out the Soul Ring and tapping it immediately. So now they can go for Is-It into their commander, and they will have... well, looks like they're not going for that. A Mystical Tutor first of all, so they're probably going to aim to draw some cards here. Or at least one card. Otherwise I don't think they'd bother with the Mystical Tutor. And yeah, I think they just worked out that all we have to do is swing in next turn. We've got 8, 12 and 16 damage coming in at them next turn. We'll probably lay down our commander as well, or an Acclaimed Contender. That reveals the top 5, I think, so let's see what we could have gotten into there. Wow, we would have whiffed on the Acclaimed Contender. So, yeah, that wouldn't have been all that good. But we could have swung in with haste for an additional 6. So, yeah, just proving there that if you get rid of Jhoira in a Cheerios deck, they're not necessarily going to come back from that. And if you can get rid of it multiple times with something like a Vona, then they're really going to struggle against you. I know this is a very powerful version of the deck because I've played against this player before. I think I've uploaded a video in which I got stomped by them in, I don't know, turn 3 or 4, something like that. So it feels good to beat them with a janky Night Tribal deck. Anyway, that was quite a fast one, so we'll get on with another game. Sir Gwyn, Hero of Ashvale, versus Dragonlord Silumgar. And not really thinking much of that hand, but we can go for Fervent Champion and then on turn 3 get a Loxodon Warhammer equipped to it. Yeah, probably shouldn't keep that, but I'm going to. Grab ourselves a plateau here because we don't have any black cards in hand. Then we'll go in with Fervent Champion. Haven't actually played with this card yet and I have high hopes for it. Oh, I forgot about the equip ability actually, so we can go for a turn 2 equip with the Loxodon Warhammer thanks to Ancient Tomb. Just a land and pass for our opponent. Let's go for Ancient Tomb into that Loxodon Warhammer. And our opponent has a Spell Pierce, so much for that plan. That kind of screws our game plan up, but we're obviously up against a control player, so we know that at least. Then a Search for Azcanta from our opponent. Well, a Smothering Tithe we can play at least, and that should fix our mana quite nicely. Wouldn't have thought a Dimir player could deal with Smothering Tithe all that easily. Now, thanks to the Smothering Tithe, what we can do next turn is go for Vona. And a land is good, let's play that. So we could actually just go in for our commander here. We don't have any equipments, though, to draw cards with our commander, so let's just go for Vona here. We'll go for that just so that we can try and slow our opponent down. And if we continue to get into lands and keep our Tithe in play, then we could go for Buried Ruin to grab the Loxodon Warhammer back, because we are putting a lot of life into Ancient Tomb here. What did they go for? They went for go for the throat. They tapped out and went for go for the throat. I actually stopped watching there because my opponent just stopped playing for a while. Yeah, tapping out all their stuff for go for the throat. I don't really know why they did that. Anyway, let's play the Rogue's Passage, and we will sacrifice to get back the Loxodon Warhammer. Get rid of Buried Ruin, trade it in for Loxodon Warhammer, then we will play the Warhammer. And next turn we're probably looking at our commander. Let's put that on there for free. And then we'll start gaining some life back and dealing some damage to our opponent. Yeah, the Mana Vault doesn't untap during the untap step, so I'm not sure why our opponent tapped that down. They didn't need to cast the Go for the Throat. Noteworthy that they've thrown away a counterspell off of Search for Azcanta as well. Then going in for Serum Visions, which is a cantrip, so that's more Smothering Tithe triggers for us. Followed by Ashiok, Nightmare Weaver. They exile the top 3 cards, and they get a Cavalier of Dawn and a Phyrexian Crusader away from us. I'm sure they're happy to see the back of Phyrexian Crusader. We get into a black land, which, do I want to shock that in or not? We've got 3, 6, 7 and 8, so we could go for Leonin Shikari. Yeah, let's shock that in. And we'll go for our commander as well. Then we will swing in at Ashiok so that it can't bring back the Phyrexian Crusader. And we'll draw a card with Sir Gwyn as well. Draw a card and lose a life. Get into Talisman of Hierarchy. I think we will cast that this turn. Or would we rather... Yeah, I don't want to play into a board wipe is the only thing. I'd like to get down Mirren Crusader and then start swinging in with a double striking Loxodon Warhammer, but let's just put that onto our commander and we'll get down the talisman here. Just want to cautiously play around a board wipe. Our opponent deciding to pay for the mana vault. Then plussing the Ashok again, and they don't get any creatures from us. There's a talisman, a sigilled sword of Valeron, and a couple of lands. We get into a land again. We've been very lucky drawing into this many lands with the opening hand that we had. So let's drop that. We'll put the Lockstone Warhammer back onto the Fervent Champion. And then the champion can swing in at Ashok. And Sir Gwyn at our opponent start getting that commander damage on the go. And whenever Fervent Champion attacks, another attacking knight you control gets +1/+0. So we'll obviously put that on our commander. Like I said, haven't played with this creature before, so I actually forgot about that ability on Fervent Champion. We draw into Conqueror's Flail, which is really good against a counterspell deck. So let's go for the Conqueror's Flail, and we will equip that onto our commander. And that means that our opponent can't cast spells during our turn. And we'll drop down a Leonin Shikari as well. And hopefully we can start to refill our hand next turn. The Azcanta has flipped over, and our opponent gets down a River of Tears, 2 cards left in hand. I would imagine they'd go for their commander here. And there we are, Dragonlord Silumgar. Let's see what they want to steal here. Going straight in for our commander. We still control the equipment, so we can take that away whenever we feel like it, although it won't cost 0 to move around anymore because we don't control our commander. How much is it to equip? Only 2 to equip, so we can afford that. And then a Jace the Mind Sculptor. So we're going to be making use of the trample here, I think. Jace going for a Brainstorm. That gives us a bunch more Smothering Tithe triggers because Brainstorm does draw. Then at the end of the turn we'll put the Conqueror's Flail back onto our creature. We get into another land. We're actually drawing too many at this point. Let's swing in with that Fervent Champion, I think. And we'll go in at Jace. Try and encourage our opponent to block with our commander. Although they could block with their commander and then steal something else of ours. But that would give our Sir Gwyn back, I suppose. Yep, deciding to force us to recast our commander. We've got plenty of mana, so I'm not against that. Oh, we actually have Rogue's Passage, don't we? So, mistakes being made by both players here. Let's just get back into recasting our commander. And then instead of playing around board wipes, let's just get this Mirren Crusader down. I think we could have benefited from having it down before now. Then we can throw equipments around for free at instant speed, so let's just hope that our opponent does not wipe the board here. They could easily grab one off of Azcanta. And they've got Jace the Mind Sculptor as well. A recoil, return a permanent to its owner's hand, and they discard a card. We're going to have to discard our own commander here. At least we're not being forced to discard Mirren Crusader. This is when a Lightning Greaves would come in handy. We could put it onto our commander at instant speed thanks to the Leonin Shikari. But they're not doing it during our turn at least, thanks to the Conqueror's Flail. Let's just allow that to resolve. Discard Sir Gwyn back into the command zone. Then bouncing the Mirren Crusader. They've still got 2 cards left in hand. We draw into Sigarda's Aid, which isn't of any use to us without any equipment. We haven't really drawn into any equipment this game, unfortunately. Let's get down our commander yet again. And we know our opponent can't counter here. Looks like they have counter magic in hand. They're forgetting the fact that they can't cast anything during our turn, so they're giving away the fact that they've got a counter spell in hand here. So at least we know that. Then we can swing in at Jace again here and see if our opponent wants to trade their Dragonlord Silumgar away. Can they recast it next turn? 3, 6. If they draw into a land, they can. we draw into Lightning Greaves. That's really good, so that will counter our opponent's effect with the Dragonlord Silumgar, because thanks to our Leonin Shikari, we'll be able to give something haste and shroud at instant speed. Oh, and I forgot, this thing has first strike, doesn't it? So we actually don't lose that. That's really good. Tap this down. Now we know our opponent has counter magic in hand because they tried to cast it during our turn, so let's go Sigarda's Aid. And I'd like to take them by surprise with a Lightning Greaves, but we're not going to do that because it will get countered. So let's just go for the Greaves now. And again, trying to counter, they can't do that while Conqueror's Flail is in play. And then Sigarda's Aid will allow us to equip that to our commander, so we will do just that. And seeing that they will not be able to steal any more of our stuff, they've decided to call it a day there. Yeah, making good use of the Conqueror's Flail, because our opponent couldn't use their counter magic there, and we would have made use of being able to bounce Lightning Greaves all over the place at instant speed, thanks to Leonin Shikari, so just showing how difficult it is for a control/Dimir player to play against you when you take away the ability to target creatures and the ability to play counter magic or cards on your turn. That just shows how good Conqueror's Flail is, so highly recommended for anyone who wants to build a deck like this. Hope you all enjoyed it. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.